Now, we got a chance to talk with Congressman Jeff Fortenberry on a day where the House of Representatives is very much in the news after their vote on the AHCA yesterday. Congressman, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Good morning.
I want to get right into it because we have a lot of questions, and I want to delve right into it. And before we get into the bill itself, I want to talk about the process that's gone on the last few days and the process for you personally. My question, I guess, is two parts. Number one, did you have a chance to read and review this bill as you would any other bill before you would vote on it? And number two, we've heard a lot about there not being a CBO score yet. I know Sean Spicer said it's impossible to know how the AHCA would impact healthcare. The second part of the question is, do you think that's a good way to legislate on an issue like this?
Yeah, important questions, good questions. Let me answer those, but by prefacing it first by saying, look, on my way to a vote yesterday, there was a Nebraskan in my office who actually is in the insurance business and actually has a pre-existing condition. And I asked him, I said, what do you think about this new health care proposal? And he looked at me and he said, it's a start. And I agree with him. It is a start because what we're facing now is a system which is not sustainable for many people. Some people have been helped by the current law, but many others have been hurt. Now, regarding the CBO score, the earlier score came out, so there is one out there. One of the behind-the-scenes deliberations that I pressed for was a more advanced score before we voted. We weren't able to get there. I do have some other analysis that has been done. For instance, in the individual market, if the current construct of what has been proposed, what has been passed by the House, restores the individual insurance market, somebody who's buying off the exchange, for instance, a person who is 60 years old may see a premium decrease of 45%. Why this is important is in Nebraska last year we saw premium increases of between 30 and 50%. We may be on the verge of having only one insurer left. You saw what's happened in Iowa where over 90 of their counties will not have an insurer shortly. So to not act, from my perspective, would not be responsible. Yet at the same time, to continue to deliberate over advanced analyses of the potential impact here for the restoration of insurance markets, how we're going to lower costs, but also protect vulnerable persons as well as improve healthcare outcomes is absolutely essential. So this is the opening chapter of a larger healthcare debate. Now, if I could add one more thing, this is very sensitive, and understandably so. This is not a debate about a budget or some foreign policy issue, which is remote from most people's lives. Essential, but remote. Healthcare is personal. It's about life. It's about protecting one's family. It's about well-being. And that's why this has appropriately engendered so much debate.
Congressman, we talk about these bills, Obamacare, this one, almost in terms of winners and losers sometimes, and I wonder how you balance that in knowing that there will be some people who are positively affected by this. There will probably be some people who see their personal situation get worse because of this, and maybe they were thriving under Obamacare, whereas other people we're seeing their premiums go up, skyrocket under Obamacare. How do you balance that aspect of knowing that this may be good for more people, but it may not be good for everybody?
It's the exact right question to ask. And I believe I did it on your show a while back. I'd like to repeat something that I've said to many Nebraskans. I received 2 letters that are emblematic of the problem. One from Scott, a farmer, Colfax County, relatively small farm. He said, Jeff, straightforward Nebraska style, I pay $49,000 property taxes, $19,000 state income. My premiums are $24,000 a year for my insurance with a $20,000 deductible. Corn's $3.09. This doesn't work. On the other side, I got a letter from Catherine saying, I'm a nurse, but I had a pre-existing condition. I could not get health care previously. Do not take away what I have. Both of those persons are absolutely right. This is why you have to pull forward protections for persons with pre-existing conditions, the types of subsidies that offset costs for people who are lower income, and at the same time reconstruct the individual insurance market so that persons like Scott have a chance to actually have some insurance. So one of the problems that came up earlier in the analysis after the initial Congressional Budget Office score showed that lower income elderly people may get hit with higher premiums, so we increased the subsidy there. Disabled persons as well were increased, and in certain other categories. There is a large fund that is available to states for stabilization of markets. I'd like to see that shifted as well toward more subsidy of real innovation. In Nebraska, for instance, where there's a clinic in Omaha that is trying to consolidate services in one place so that you are actually getting rid of the fragmentation in the healthcare delivery system. We have an anecdotal example of one person whose costs have been reduced by 25%, and their health outcomes are actually better. They feel better. They're doing better. So the balance here is two things. One is to recreate the health insurance financing mechanism, but also shift a conversation to the delivery mechanism, which is the largest driver of cost. You have roughly about 5% of Americans accounting for 50% of overall healthcare costs. So a new financing mechanism doesn't take care of that, and we're underemphasizing this problem in this bill. And moving forward, I'd like to see some added emphasis through an intensified policy focus on innovation and new models of continuity of care, medical homes for the sickest person. That way you'll drive down costs.
Congress,
now, back to the core of the question right quick. I agree. I don't want to see winners and losers. I want to see fairness. I want to see everyone feel at least comfortable enough that they are protected if they're in a vulnerable circumstance, but a new system that actually has to drive down costs and create competition. There are some other ways to think about doing that, and I have some ideas. And this, I will probably talk to one of my U.S. Senator colleagues about enhancing this idea of ensuring that no one is left behind.
Congressman, I've got a lot of people asking me questions, and I know you do too, and I know you're talking about this being the first step and being a complex issue, but the people I'm hearing from are concerned about the effects if this bill goes into law. I've had one listener said he's got a wife who's got end-stage renal disease, and he's worried about her survival and ability to get care as a pre-existing condition. A cancer survivor. I've got a woman who's saying her child is going to die because of this. We hear these stories that say there are going to be increased deaths because of that. Are those people misunderstanding what's happening here? Is something going to intervene in the process with this bill that's going to change it? How do you answer the concerns of these people?
One of the dynamics which led to the current health care law was that persons with pre-existing conditions were being priced out of the insurance market. That was not fair. That is a broken system. Therefore, it was my principle, as well as many others, that those persons were not going to be able to be excluded by insurance companies, nor charged excessively higher rates. This bill does guarantee that, and there's a lot of information floating out there that it doesn't. Now, there is a shift from a one-size-fits-all federal government mandated system more to a state-based system, particularly in the implementation of the Medicaid program. And so that there is a shift there. However, when the earlier analysis suggested as well that elderly low-income people would have potentially a disproportionate increase, there was additional money split there as well as for the disabled. So when further analysis comes out, when there is continued conversation about this, hopefully the misperceptions and concerns are somewhat allayed, but it also gives a little more time for the development of policies that might correct some of the things that we have not fully achieved here. So that's why I'm saying it's a start. It's not a perfect piece of legislation, but to say no locks in the current system, which is really unfair to a lot of people.
So where does this go? Because I know the Senate will take it up. They have said, some senators have said, we're going to write our own bill. Whether or not that incorporates pieces of what was passed in the House yesterday, or if it's their own measure altogether, and then a conference committee comes forward with this thing. I mean, I know that you talked to your colleagues in the U.S. Senate, and it doesn't sound like, I know it was a very tight vote in the House yesterday with basically just one vote to spare, they start with one vote to spare on the Republican side in the U.S. Senate, essentially. So do you anticipate substantial changes in what the Senate eventually votes on?
It's a harder question for me to answer because I haven't had an extensive conversation about that dynamic with anyone there. The Senate is a separate body. They're going to bring their own sets of ideas. I think this serves as a benchmark for their start, but I do anticipate there will be a robust debate, particularly about one area that I would frankly like to see advanced as well, that anybody receiving a subsidy currently in what we call the Obamacare framework or the Affordable Care Act, the existing law, simply is held harmless. In other words, you're guaranteed that what you have will stay with you. And then as the new system takes place and begins to restore markets, innovation takes place and prices come down and individual circumstances change, they could potentially move into the new system. I think that would allay a lot of concern. Now, again, certain dynamics, certain amendments were added to increase protections for elderly, vulnerable, and low-income persons, and also to give more states more flexibility in this regard. But I think that particular idea probably may get some traction in the Senate, and it's one I'd like to see.
Congressman, I know you've been over this, but you use this term, it's a start. I want to delve down further into what that means. Does that mean, you cast the vote for the bill obviously passed in the House. Does that mean you expect something different to be the result of the process going forward? You hope to see something different despite the vote yes for the bill? What exactly does it mean? Because the bill is now in the Senate's hands. I think there are a lot of people saying, okay, is this what's going to end up becoming law? What exactly do you mean and hope to see when you say it's a start, given that the bill's now been passed out of the House?
Well, our legislative process is designed, obviously, to go through two bodies. The House of Representatives started this process, and it's a little bit more entangled because it involves something called budget reconciliation. So it's actually a budget bill, if you will, and then that creates only certain narrow lanes of issues that you can address. That's an insider technical conversation, but that's the reality of this vehicle going over to the Senate. So it does not address certain larger structural issues that have been debated in the past, like being able to buy insurance across state lines and other things, because it has to contain itself within things that are just related to budget reconciliation. So that's one constraint. The other is, look, you're dealing with 434 other people in the House of Representatives. I personally wrote the president about a week and a half ago. He was kind enough to write back about this idea of holding harmless or guaranteeing anybody who's currently getting a certain level of Obamacare subsidy that they would have that move forward during this particular transition period, so that it puts to rest any concern that somebody is going to be left behind or not get a level of subsidy that they were previously getting. And then as the system transitions, markets are restored, hopefully we'll see lower prices, and frankly, get rid of the fragmentation or move away from the fragmentation in our healthcare system which exists today, which is the primary driver of cost. Again, there is a distinction between healthcare financing and healthcare delivery. We have to have the larger discussion as well about healthcare delivery, because that's where you actually improve health and well-being and potentially reduce costs. Just throwing more money at something constantly does not guarantee a better outcome. And so that also needs to be an essential component of the debate as we actually look to recreating a system that is fair to everyone and is actually improving outcomes, protecting vulnerable persons, and giving people a chance to buy affordable insurance.
Congressman Jeff Fortenberry with us here at 8:52 for maybe just a minute or two more. And Congressman, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that the cost of health care is a far bigger debate than the question of who will be paying for health care and should be treated as such. It wasn't with the original Obamacare discussions. I don't know that it has been with this. And so I've got two more questions for you. One of them hopefully is just a quick answer. For the people who have reached out to us, who are concerned, who I know have reached out to you too,
yes,
in terms of addressing the misunderstandings, the misrepresentations, or or whatever is in this, is there a source that you could point to or would point them to say, here's what's actually in the bill? Here's a representation of this that I trust, that you can read and say, that's the truth. That's what's in this. And then a second question we can leave for a later date when we talk a little bit more about costs. But where would you point people to who have serious questions or concerns about this?
There are several links with well-developed messages that are from what we call the Republican Conference in the House of Representatives. Now, that's not exactly my language. My language will differ a little bit, but it does walk through some of the accusations against the bill about what it does and tries to lay down a perspective about the real facts. Now, it might not be appealing to everyone listening to your show because it's a little bit laced with Republican-esque language, if you will, which is Washington-based, rather than a debate like we have in Nebraska. But nonetheless, there are a lot of facts there. I think maybe I could offer this, that I could post a couple of those pieces on my own website at fortenberry.house.gov with the caveat that that's not my own writing, but some people can take it as they like, because it does walk through a lot of the challenges that have been thrown at this measure and some of the responses. Would that be acceptable?
Yes, I think that would go. That'd be great for a lot of the people, and it'd be good for us to point them in that direction. So we'll look for that. We'll send people to your website today and throughout the weekend. Congressman, thank you for your time today. I know we'll talk many more times about this in the coming weeks and months as the Senate takes up the health care discussion now. And as you said, this is the start of the conversation, and we'll see what the final product looks like. But thanks for your time this morning on LNK Today.
Thank you. Pleasure to talk to you.
Congressman Jeff